This is your most authoritative news analysis platform. And here on Newsfile, as always, we put Ghana first. Now we go to our very final issue about the new majority leadership of Parliament. The new majority leadership of Parliament. Not long ago, there was this rude change of the leadership in Parliament by the minority. And we thought that it would not repeat itself. Then we woke up just last week and the start of this week, we discovered that Osei Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu, the formidable legislator and majority leader, he's been minority, he's been majority leader, is to suffer such a booting out. Eventually, he himself comes to say he is resigning voluntarily. But of course, he says something else that clearly showed that it was not exactly voluntary, because he said he was resigning to avoid a cataclysmic, I think that's the word he used, whatever, within the NPP, some explosion. Now, this is what part of what has led to what is happening. In the old rules, as in the standing orders of Parliament, 1st November 2000, who is a majority leader? The rule says majority leader means a member of Parliament designated by the party or parties holding majority of the seats in the House as their recognized leader in the House. Designated by the party, the political party. That's what is said. They have changed those rules. They now have the 2024 rules come in. And in the 2024 rules, designated by the caucus, not the party. So you would have heard Joe Wise say this is wrong. It's a scheming he's unhappy about. I'm holding in my hand the report of the Constitution Review Commission from a political to a developmental constitution, 2011 December. And they note how weak our parliament was because of how the independence was supposed to exercise and to help us to hold other arms of government accountable. It was failing. Is that where we are going now, when the parties are controlling the parliament? Joining us on this discussion is Dr. Arthur Kobina Kennedy. He's a physician and a former presidential aspirant on the ticket of the New Patriotic Party. Dr. Arthur Kennedy, thank you very much for your sacrifice. I know what time it is where you are, and it must take only sacrifice for you to be up this morning to join us. Let's hear what you have to say about the developments in Parliament and how we can go forward in not compromising the independence and oversight of Parliament.
Sure. Good morning, Samson, to you and your listeners. I've listened to the whole program, and I crave your indulgence to make a few comments on Ejapa before I go to Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu. I think that Ghanaians complain a lot about not having exceptional and patriotic leaders. But unfortunately, when people do manifest these things, we don't celebrate them enough. So today, on behalf of Ghanaians, let us thank former Attorney General Mrs. Gloria Akufu for her very clear, transparent opposition to the Ejapa deal that didn't get enough commendation. Martin Amedu did a very good job in his report as well. I think that Bryce Simmons laid it out very well, and a lot of us can understand that. I think that if you say that you have a maize farm and you see somebody with a machete and a basket circling your maize farm, and somebody says, wait for the person to harvest your maize before you call them a thief, the person is being a little disingenuous. I think the fundamental problem with Ejapa and SML and a lot of these deals, even in previous governments, is the fact that too often the people who make decisions for us do not have the public interest at heart. they are fronting for private interests. And this Ejapa deal clearly, as Bryce Simon showed, would have given us 500 million, which we've already received from mineral royalties since then. So the idea that this was supposed to be the interest of Ghana, really, it is not there. And I think Parliament failed us. They should have done their job of accountability. And to Samijemfi, if the NDC comes into power, I hope the pledge for accountability will not be just like we've heard in the past. In 2016, Nada was going to hold NDC people accountable for malfeasance and nothing happened. I hope this time something will happen. Now let me go to Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu. First, I think that the way we sack people in Ghana as a culture is not healthy. A lot of people will tell you that I have rarely agreed with Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu. We disagree on a lot of things. But I believe that in terms of party loyalty, he's been a very loyal member of the party, loyal minority and majority leader. So even if there was a need to change him, the manner that it occurred was inappropriate. The second thing is that from the interest of the party, I think we shot ourselves in the foot. Now there are about 40 incumbent MPs who either chose not to run or were defeated in the primaries. These attempt to quote unquote move them aside is really self-harming because they are still in a parliament that is almost evenly divided. So if you do these things and they do not have commitment to the government's agenda, the rest of the way will be very difficult because people can miss votes deliberately or otherwise. So I don't think this is a good idea. Now, let me go to the principles of it. I think that the 2024 standing orders of parliament actually are an advance on democracy. I think that a parliamentary caucus that is beholden to the party, which in quotes is actually the president, because he calls the shots there, is not independent enough. I think that the biggest weakness of our current constitution is the lack of independence of parliament and the weakness of parliament. And the Japan deal that we just discussed is a classic illustration of that. So I think that we need to encourage parliamentary caucuses that develop its own leadership and strength and principles independent of their parties and are accountable directly to the public. I mean, in US here, it is almost unheard of for the president or somebody outside of the House of Representatives or the Senate to tell them who their leader should be. And that should never be the case. So I think that the NPP has made a mistake. The new 2024 rules are good, and they are another indication of the silent Herculean work that Speaker Babin has done. Unfortunately, he himself seemed to be contradicting some of the rules that they put in place. But I think the rules are excellent. We should encourage Parliament to follow them, to develop independence, and to stand aside from their party, and particularly from the executive when it is doing things that are not in the public interest. I think the NPP has made a mistake, and as the months evolve towards the election, they will live to regret this decision that was made. And I think that Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu deserves better.
But you're saying the speaker, also his comments, his ruling of sorts, that suggested that even though the new standing order says majority leader means a member of parliament designated by the majority caucus as their leader in the House, which is in sharp contrast to the old, which said designated by the party. So we woke up one morning and the NDC General Secretary wrote a letter that simply said, this is our new group. You like it or not, that's what you take. You're saying the speaker may not also have been helpful in his ruling by suggesting that even though the standing orders say that the designation must be by the caucus, they must consult the party. You're saying that is not progressive. But the people who are there as MPs are sponsored by the parties. You have a constitution that says if you cross carpet, you lose your MPship.
Well, in fairness, though, consult does not mean obey the party. So consult just means having a conversation with the party. You know, you can listen to the party, can say we think this is the best person, but in the end, the decision must be by the caucus. Having said that, yes, the parliamentarians stand on the ticket of the party, but they also are voted for directly by a constituent. And now that you say that, you remember how many NPP MPs were solidly for Bawumia, and look at how many of them lost. It means that there is a divergence in the opinion of the parliamentary group compared to the people on the ground. And so parliamentarians, if they want to stay long, must listen to the people. I actually had a relationship with a United States senator here, who at that time has served for 22 years. And he said, you know, senators don't stay for 24 and 30 years by following a president. You know, they follow their principles and they follow what the public says. So what happened in the MPP primary must inform, you know, parliamentarians and aspiring parliamentarians that at the end of the day, the best way to preserve your position is to listen to the people. And if they were listening to the people, they would have stopped the Ejapa deal. If they were listening to the people, they would have insisted on kind of a living instead of caving when the president kicked back. So we should not be afraid of democracy. We need to deepen our democracy, and one of the ways of doing that is to enhance the independence of parliament. I think, respectfully, I admire the speaker a lot, but he was a little errant in his comments.
I don't know you to be one of those who will shy away from speaking as bluntly as is required. Everybody appears to be shy to say who it is that cost Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu his seat. Joe Wise stood up at the beginning and was very strong that he was against the coup that was going on, and that he knew Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu had not made any decision to resign his seat, even though he was taking up chairmanship of the manifesto committee. And so this was a surprise, and he was against it, that the party should not control it. Eventually, it was a letter from the party general secretary, Kodua, announcing who has been chosen. That was announced by the speaker in the House. Who do you think could have brought Kyei-Mensah-Bonsu to resign, albeit he now claims is voluntary?
Oh, not that. Who else? Is the president. I mean, for whatever reason, they calculate that for whatever the calculus is, I have things behind the scene. They think Bawumia is from the north. They are picking a rally from Ashanti. So they are going to, quote unquote, mollify Central Region by making up Fehoma the majority leader. I actually think that is a really insulting token, because this will be just till the next election, and even if he's returning to parliament based on the election. So I think it is an insulting token, and it was ill-considered because it will hurt the party. Think about it. For the rest of the year, if there are indeed any decisions to be taken in parliament, you have 20 to 40 members of your caucus, including people like Honorable Joe Wise, who was strong and principled, being unhappy. A few people missing votes will make your agenda flounder. So it was not a very wise decision.
Don't you credit the lame duck president with too much power at this time?
No, I don't. I mean, if you think about it, this is, they are still running Dr. Bawumia's campaign. Whatever else we see, you know, even though he made a public speech in which he claimed to have been a mate and never known about anything that was done. People know that the speech was circulated for about a week among the Chebi Mafia, so that everybody will bless it before it was done. You know, so I really think that they are not serving the party well, and Dr. Bawumia himself has erred if he has either signed off on this or been indifferent with.
Okay. Thank you very much, Dr. Arthur Kennedy.